Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us again. And this is the third session for Hack the League Hackathon, and we are seeing such a great involvement of so many folks from India and from other countries as well. That is also great to see. This is an initiative of impact, as we say. Hack the League is something that we are really excited to present to each and every student out there. And just like we promised, if this is the impact of the community, we can't actually include anything that is not worth putting efforts to. But again, I know that there is a vague concept of community out there. We always struggle around what community means for folks, what actually community is, how technologies are evangelizing in form of the community concept, how great products are out there, like reaching out to the right people with the help of community, and how students are getting opportunities out of it. So many things to talk about, so much impact that we have to witness today. So just like past two sessions, I'm again bringing you some of the best people that I know who can share about their experiences about the community. So let me bring them to the stage. So we have Vivek Sridhar sir. I think most of the folks already know Vivek sir. I know reactor talks are always out there. You have seen like Vivek sir recently with the unpack of Microsoft Ignite along with Aditya and Simran. And we also have my fellow gold student ambassador and a full-time customer experience and support engineer, Himantika Mitra. Like I've also seen Himantika in the events and speaking. And then we have Cherish with us from Sao Labs, and you have seen Cherish recently in so many places. And Sao is always in so many hackathons. You're always seeing Cherish talk about product and community on Twitter Spaces and events. So I know this is a kind of discussion that is always going to make an impact whenever we talk about how important the concept of community is, how students are getting the best out of this concept. So like without wasting much time, like we can start with Vivek sir, Himantika, Cherish, like about your introduction, and then we can move forward.
You want to go first, Hamantika?
I'm cool. Thanks Vivek for letting me go first, and thank you Jatin. It's lovely being here, and also hi to all the audience who's there on the live chat. I see a lot of activity in the chat there. And to introduce myself a bit, I just graduated, so I'm just like you. I know what student communities are and what student impact it can bring. And before I talk about how companies have impacted me as a whole, as a person, and also as in my career ahead, but I'll keep it short and give a brief introduction about myself. So I'm Hemantika. I come from Siliguri, India, which is towards the northeast part of India. I have stayed my entire life here and have completed my graduation on electronics and communications. And right now, I am at Microsoft supporting the Outlook and Exchange team. And before that, I have also worked as a community manager and also in other startups as a solution architect. So yeah, that's about me. Thank you, Vivek, and thank you, Jatin, and hi to Cherish as well.
Hey, Cherish, go ahead.
Thank you, Vivek. Great knowing about you, Amantika. Thanks, Jatin, for having me over. I'm Cherish. I've spent the last 8, 9 years in different spaces. I started with my career with interning at Google, then managed to be a founder myself. Went on to build products, and then and further Amazon thought, it's good to have somebody like me. So I worked there for 2.5 years or so. Then I realized that my heart lies where I started with Google, which is building and nurturing developer communities. So I joined Hacker Earth. I started the narrative of communities there, and I created a community led product as well, which banked anywhere about 1.2 cr with zero expense, zero outbound marketing or whatever. Got a few promotions, then managed to lead a vertical here at Savo Labs. Savo Labs is a passwordless authentications solution, which means that it's an SDK that enables developers to create seamless passwordless login flows both on web and mobile apps. I am currently the head of community there and one of the founding members. I am also I lead three verticals: developer marketing, developer experience, and community management. So pretty much all in all, fully focused, completely submersed into developers and their communities, their pain points, building things for them, fixing things for them, spending more and more time interacting with them. I've as as you rightly pointed out, we sponsor a lot of hackathons, and I spent a lot of time actually talking one on one with a lot of developers who interact with Savo as a product. That's about me, and that's what I've done so far. Thanks. Over to you, Vivek, sir.
Hey, thanks, Cherish and Mantika. It's nice knowing you both. And about me, 15 years of experience in software industry, and I started way back in 2006. And I spent 9 years in IBM India Software Labs, building softwares using all kinds of like Java, Perl, even PHP I've used in that place, and being a DevOps solution architect at HCL after that for a couple of years, maybe 1 or 2 years there, and then moved back to the startup where I was as a head of DevOps to one of the startup called Blackberg. Today you can see that as a unicorn, but when I joined them, it was a 6 months old baby, and it was fun being in a startup when it was 6 months old. And then I had my own startup. I had founded one of the startup which was built on a user-based search engine. So that was using the IBM's the cognitive things which was there, and also I used Microsoft cognitive services at then. And then being part of the DigitalOcean as a developer advocate, that's where my community journey started. Technical community journey started because previous to that I was part of the startup communities and other things, but technical community journey started when I was part of DigitalOcean as a developer advocate, and building communities, not just building communities, going and spending time with communities, spending time with startups, helping them with their architectures and other things. So being involved in a lot of technical discussions there. And then I moved into the Microsoft as a developer marketing lead for communities from a building strategy, investments, and other things. So if you have seen the 100 city plan, the 100 cities which is out there of Azure, where we have communities in 100 cities, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, everything was planned and designed by me. And then I know right currently I'm into developer advocacy role, the senior developer cloud advocate here, in Microsoft, where I'm into the cloud and AI engineering team, and I am more involved in Microsoft Reactor. I'm not sure how many of you know about Reactor. It's about building communities there, right? So it's an amazing community. We build a lot of content for the community, all type of content, including how to build your LinkedIn profile, right? So that's the kind of community we have built out there. Oh, that's me.
Thank you so much, folks. And it's always great to learn about your experiences and how you have been immersed into this community concept. And the first thing that came to my mind when I think about doubts and confusions, like why people should listen to anyone saying that community can make impact. We always talk about we have some really amazing community. Like whenever we talk about community, the first thing I say that I have learned a ton of things. Like I don't think I can thank enough Pablo for this amazing Microsoft student partner slash learn student ambassador community that we have. And there is always a word around like what is the impact and why, like what is your experience in it. So let's initiate with that thing, like, just sharing about what was your experience in community concept and how you think, like, what kind of impact that it has made so far into the student community. So yeah, we can start with anyone. Himantika, would
Thank
you
you.
like to go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say that maybe let's hear from Vivek because he has been here, like he has been in this field for since years, and I think that it's always the best to learn from his experiences. So maybe after he goes, Cherish and I can continue.
Yeah, thanks, Amantika. So let me start with way back when I did a startup right? So I was in communities at that time. So it's basically when you build a startup, you go into those communities, and you talk to those people out there, building connections and other things. But then when I joined DigitalOcean, there was so much change has happened, right? When I moved into DigitalOcean as a developer advocate, it was more from technical communities. So traveling across country, meeting people, and learning so many things. So for me, three things really changed. One is learning. So basically, while you're learning and you're going and teaching, you're also learning there, right? So there's amazing quote which is from Phil Collins, right? Which I know I talked about always, right? So basically, in teaching you always learn, in learning you always teach. So that's the amazing quote from Phil Collins. So that's what you do. And a very simple example is, I was doing my first talk on basically on the AGUS, distributed tracing, and I was learning it for the first time. I was working on it for the first time. I really did not understand why I was supposed to do it on a UDP, right? Instead of, why can't I use a TCP? Why there is a UDP out there? And then I was delivering a talk, and while delivering a talk, somebody from audience asked me a question like, "Hey, Vivek, this is all fine, but how does it affect the performance of the applications?" And that's what struck me when I was delivering the talk. Hey, yeah, this is the reason why it has been built on UDP. So basically, you learn so many things while you're delivering that talk, right? Even though you know about the architecture of Agar, why it is required, everything and you are building that talk, and you're delivering the talk, but there is a amazing perspective which came out from the audience, and you learn from them as well. So this is where one of the thing which I've been doing for a long time, right? So I've been learning when I'm delivering talks, and that's been one of the major impact. The second thing is always has been the connections I've been making. So I meet so many people, and I learn from so many people every day. It's not just about technology which I learn, it's also about different things. And there is a lot of things, like last 4 months back, I messaged some of the students saying that, hey, I see you doing talks on a lot of things on data science, regression models and other things. I want to learn in those areas. Where should I start? It was basically from a student who gave me a list of things, where you should be starting these things. It's not from some professionals or anyone, it's basically from a student. So even though you've been part of 15 years in this industry, you should always be open to learn from everyone, and take that learning from him. And I took it, and then probably you might see me in next 3 months delivering a lot of talks in data science, right? So basically that's one of the thing where you make a lot of connections, and you've been connected to people, and people will help you, people will give you directions whenever you need. That is something, is one of the major thing. And the last one is obviously the the leadership skills, the skills to build people around you. It's not just about your growth, it's also about growing people around you, right? Those were a couple of impact which I have seen personally while working with these communities, either it is students, it is professional communities, or within the communities within the organization, right? So that's my perspective, though. Go ahead.
Thank, thank you so much,
Jarish,
Vivek,
or
sir.
Jatin was missing.
No, no, I was in the backstage. Your experiences are really amazing. So I should be on the backstage, because that's what it's about, experience and impact. So yeah, then we can move to then Cherish. You would like to go next?
Sure. Yeah. Very humbled by what Vivek just mentioned. I think that's immense. And Vivek, I'm also just going by what you said. Pretty much a similar theory. Feynman said, right? Like the only way to really understand something is to the ability to teach it, and I agree with that. I think this is a very personal thing. Like like communities came very naturally to me, and this, I'm sure, like this has happened with a lot of people, but maybe we haven't necessarily paid attention. um, my college teachers did not like, they weren't very patient or were not able to like, make me understand a lot of things, right? Like, as my fellow peers or my classmates were able to, they would give me examples which range outside the books, probably talking about playgrounds, girlfriends, fruits, things that probably my class teachers would like, completely miss. Now I realize that similar concept, similar book, similar material, but the patience and the ability to teach me the same concept came much higher from my friends and my peers, almost like their life dependent on it, almost like I was contributing to their success, almost like I am also going to add to the cumulative CGPA of the class. So I realized that, like, there are people like me who are going to make me understand things like which my teachers might not be able to. And that's when I realized that people like them, people like me, exist all over, and all of us are here to actually teach each other a bunch of things, because they know that once you've taught something to your peer, they will return the favor, and the cumulative knowledge of the group will increase. I'm sure a lot of people have passed their exams just like studying one night before from your peer or friend, and you've learned far more than your teacher could teach you in last 3 months. And your receptivity towards the community of like-minded people and people like yourself in the same boat is far more. And I think that that's what keeps the community going, just like general sense of helping, and also the receptivity of us, to actually gain that knowledge back. That's about it. Himantik, I would like to hear what you have to say.
I'd say that thank you, Vivek and Cherish, for sharing your insights. It's always amazing to learn from your experience. And I'll speak from the student perspective, because it's been only few years, let's say around 2 years, that I have been in the community. And from the background where I come, or from the place where I belong to, communities reached where maybe books, not books, I would say, like where my professors couldn't reach. And it helped me learning, it helped me learn and upskill more than my college, or more than the scope that I was filled into or fitted into. So it has a bit of personal touch to it, and I think that a lot of students, especially those who are from India and come from lesser known places where technical education is not very common, for such people communities help a lot in learning. And like Cherish mentioned about learning from friends, so we network with a lot of people. And even if we are it's not necessary to learn something every day, but interacting with people, we also develop people's skills, and that is something that goes a long way. And being in the community, it comes very naturally once we start with it. So there has been instances like people who are in their full-time job doing something else in the day job, like that includes me as well, but I always have a time that is for the community, because I know that it has given me something that I couldn't achieve in my 4 years of engineering. And if I hold the baton and pass it over to other students, they can carry it forward. So for me, it was a lot of learning. And I think there's a question in the chat that asks that how can community make a great impact while taking placement. So recruiting has changed a lot, and people look beyond your tech skills. They also see if you have the communication skills, if you have people skills, if you have if you know how to interact with people, if you know how to work with people. And this is where community it comes as an added bonus. And a lot of companies, and companies like Microsoft as well, they also look for inclusiveness, where if you know or if you're inclusive of people's cultures and their thoughts and ideas, it is always an added benefit. And these are the experiences that help you in expressing yourself better in interviews. And like I can go on when it comes to the impact that community has had on me. But let's say for a student perspective, and especially being someone who always looks for let's say opportunities straight out of college, or maybe in a college years, it also helps you land amazing opportunities. Like some of the opportunities that I had, internship opportunities, were from the community, because people had seen me working on a particular tech, and I used to do a lot of public learning even before it was cool back then. I don't even know the term. And so I think that this is how a community is always there to push people and help you learn. So for students who think that, oh, what are the benefits that it can give other than swags, so it definitely helps you grow up and shape up as a person. So that's what I had to add, and that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, the experiences, the impact that you all have shared are really amazing. And it's always great to see how community has impacted each one of us in our own way. When we talk about learning or product or even opportunities as a student, so that gives takes us to the next part. uh, we said that it has impacted us in our experiences, but what is the need of the community concept? Like, we have put a great effort, like I have seen all the like girl student ambassadors, when it comes to Himantika, Nandita, Simran, and all the others. Like, whenever I can see, people are putting a lot of efforts. Morgan is always out there, Crew is always out there, Sarah making an impact, organizing events to evangelize this thing. When I can see, like, I have recently seen Pranika and Rucha involved with the Grace Hopper celebration going on at the Microsoft community. So why do we actually need the concept of community? Like, what do you feel like? Why this concept is important for the student community to be out there? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Um, I would love if Vivek could also add into the like Hemantika clearly spoke about why it matters to students and why it helps in their overall career, right? I would love if Vivek could also, and I'll probably top on that, give us the understanding of why brands do it. What's the business value of the community as a brand, so that as a student you would be able to draw a clear line between what your actions result on the other side of the table. Vivek, if you would not take that, and I'll probably jump in.
Yeah, so just to bring in the why the community is required from the Justin's point of view as well, and then I'll take your question. See, today morning, there was, today morning in the newspaper. I'm not sure if everyone would have read. IBM did quote about tech crunch, talent crunch in India, and they talked about curriculum being upgraded to the where the technology is growing. So we will have a big talent crunch in coming years. So the only way to go forward and upskill everyone, upskill people, and empower everyone is only through communities. And this is very straightforward. If you read that, if article, today's newspapers article, which is there on Times of India, but I'm not sure where else it's there. But if you go by that, it's very straightforward that we need communities, we need peer learning, and we need people to go back and teach people as well, and also learn. So that's something which can only be done through communities. And as I told even before this conversation started, right, we were having discussions, right? So having a community around one person doesn't make really good impact. Having a community in with around you makes a good impact of that. So that when you build a community in your college, it should not it should not be centric to you, right? It should be like you are bringing in more people, more juniors into it, so that it can be taken forward, so that it's like it's growing, and it should not stop the moment you leave the college, right? So that is the main thing you should be doing at the college level. And from the brand perspective, Cherish, so that the see we did go into the 100 cities, and we created communities in 100 cities. The only if you see the vision of Microsoft, right, is to empower people, empower developers, not just developers, empower all citizen developers, to make sure that they grow, and they grow. That is the vision of Microsoft. And when you take that vision, and if you build that vision into the streams, it is either ways, two ways, right? It is one way, we are achieving our vision, what we have. And the other is also we are growing India in terms of empowering every person in those 100 cities. So those 100 communities which we launched in January is absolutely growing. It's almost like 11,000 developers who are there. I what I would envision there is probably in 2 to 3 years this would have grown into a very big communities out there, and a lot of startups coming out of those communities. As long as we have amazing set of community leaders out there who can rally the communities to make sure there is an impact. So there is two ways either to, right? There is vision we are working towards, and then there is India as a country where it can be grown through these 100 cities, right? So that's what I would see from the brand perspective, from a growth and brand perspective. That's probably that's my take on that as well.
That's great. That was good to hear, Vivek. Thank you. Jatin, you're on mute.
Yeah, apologize for that. Yeah, so Cherish, like we can go next to you. What do you
Sure.
think about it?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I asked this to Vivek, and Himantika also works at Microsoft, right? Like, it's important to hear their perspective as well, because like their Microsoft doesn't need visibility or adoption anymore, right? So their battles are more like talent, or more like empowering or inclusivity, right? Now these are bigger battles and important battles to fight, but a lot of startups, and I keep talking about why developers, like startups, need developer communities. In fact, I did a recent talk at DevRelCon 21, where I spoke about how developers, like startups, also need developer communities and how can it impact, right? Now it was great that actually this inclusivity and impact wasn't necessarily like the core it was built around. But look at this, right? Like, if there's a startup that has entered an ecosystem, you can copy the tech, you can copy maybe the execution as well. But if a startup has a loyal, ardent fan base or a community around it, it's very hard to break, because it takes a lot to actually capture the mind share of a person that a startup has built years and years and spent a lot of time and effort and energy and cost to get it. Now when startups do that, right, now I'll talk about the impact in from business side first, and then maybe from the student side. Now whenever there's a and I'll talk about startups only because Vivek has clearly mentioned how Microsoft does it and sounds perfect, right? Now whenever there's a smaller or a younger company trying to build a community, what they're trying to do is, first of all, get the awareness of their product, right? That's one of their goals. The second goal is obviously, with the awareness, they will make sure that they have somebody to handhold the community so that they can adopt their product, and will make them see like in actual genuine sense the impact of their product. They're not trying to sell it. They're doing developer advocacy, where they make you see that it truly makes an impact. And developers are smart, right? They can sense what is selling and what is true impact. So a lot of it's very hard to get that right. But once the awareness is done and the adoption is done, then they make sure that that whatever community that they've built stays together and empowers other people. That's when we enter the final stage, like Microsoft is. And like Savo itself is on that path, and we're also making sure that more and more people know about it, use it, and then further empower others. Now that's the idea behind why businesses should do it. And if you're on the receiving end of either of these programs, you need to know that you're not just like a cog in a ship or like in a bigger machinery. You are very integral to the company's growth and reputation in the market, right? um, your The way you use your product matters a lot, because you could find a use case that could change the game forever, right? And because it comes from a fresh perspective from the community, it's likely that the team has not thought of it. And this is what we try and build this is the culture that we try and build, the product culture, maker culture, trying to use our products and use any product and build something really cool. And we obviously and students in the span of building and completing this journey, whatever they need in terms of financial or tech, infra, people, mentorship, support, we provide all of that, because we know the impact that students and the communities can create to the product and their general space, authority in the market. That's about it. Imantika, over to you.
Yeah, and thank you, Cherish and Vivek, for adding your points. I think those are some pointers that even students who are in the audience should keep in mind. So, from the student perspective, I would like to mention that is when we are in a community, our when we are working with a particular product, it acts as a skill. And I'll speak about like before I joined Microsoft or even interned at Microsoft, I was using Microsoft Power Platform. That time it was a niche, and very less or almost zero companies in India was using Microsoft Power Platform. But I really liked it, and I started learning about it, sharing sessions about it, and like posting threads or let's say tweets or posts about what is Power Platform, what it can do, and start building solutions about it. And then after a period of almost 5 to 6 months, as a student, what we really would love is having opportunities to work or to network or to collaborate with people. So for a technology that was a very niche one, and with almost very little to no hiring in India, went from having opportunities given to me right at my inbox without even applying for it. So as a student, I think that if we are interacting with the community, if we are learning a product of, it can be of any company, it can be of a startup, it can be of a big tech company, so it definitely goes into the tech skills, and people are actually noticing of your work, and it never goes into vain. So it's either if so it landed me opportunities, it also landed me a blog post by Microsoft and other companies. So that was something for me, and it might not be the same for others. But if nothing at all, it at least goes into your resume, where you can talk about what you have built. You have a strong project section because you have used a product, you know about it from end to end. You have built something that maybe, because as students we have a lot of ideas, and maybe you can build something that even the company that is building the product did not think about. Or while you're playing with the product, you can come up with certain ideas that, and and that you can suggest them in the community forums. And you never know, a miracle can happen, and the company might like it and offer you an internship opportunity, or just maybe as conduct a seminar, and anything can happen. So as a student, maybe I would just mention and end by saying that our focus should be learning and interacting and networking with people as much as you can, because maybe after a year or so, while you graduate, but the networks and the connections that you have made while being in the community, it goes a long way. And you also make some great friends. So it doesn't matter where you are after some years, in which company you are, where you're working. This community spirit, once it gets inside you, it stays with you, and it definitely helps you in the long run. So that is what I had to add from my end. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Mantika, Vivek, Cherish. All the pointers are like I couldn't even say, like from a product's perspective, from a big like a big firm like Microsoft perspective, or a growing startup perspective. We have talked about different aspects of the community, like how some impacts are out there, how we need to create more, and like we can talk about more things, but I guess there I wanted to talk about the impact over the normal norms of technology, but we like I love how we covered both the things in the one part. Whenever we talk about startups and their products, and whenever we talk about Power Platform. So one thing I remember that I was very scared of starting out with Power Apps. I was stick to my comfort zone, that is Power Automate. I was like, okay, I don't need to go for Power Apps, and I don't know. I don't wanted to learn it. And then after that, I have seen so many other things going on in the ambassador community. Then I have seen how Himantika is totally nailing it in the power technology. And I just thought that why just stick to only one comfort zone? Let's just get out and I learn about power apps. And then I remember Himantika has also published an article, and I and Lee Scott, like, one of the cloud advocate at Microsoft, also worked on the series of power technology articles. And I remember the second article was of Himantika, like sharing about how anyone can develop a augmented reality app out of a Power App platform. So all these things coming together shared about the next question that I had in my mind about normal norms of technology. So then I guess the next thing that I would like to would really appreciate your thoughts, and for the folks out there, is that what is the future of community like as you see it? Because I know that you all have some great experience in it, and you know that how it's going to impact products and communities and like companies everywhere. So what do you think, like what is the future of community and how it's going to impact all these upcoming things that are coming? Like before this session, like in the StreamYard only, I remember like both me and Vivek sir and Himantika also talked about different stuff going on in the community. So what do you think? What is the future and how it's going to impact all the students as well as professionals in the coming years?
So Jatin, before we go there, there are questions which we should take, which I feel there were two questions basically which I see, which is pretty interesting. One is this is something which I keep having a discussion with a lot of students. They're worried about their careers and thinking ahead. If Yesh has asked about it, and not focusing on their studies either. And can you please put that question out there? I do want to take that question.
Sure. I guess that question is reflected by the user. So I can't
Okay,
see it in the
I know
StreamYard.
it's
I
okay.
don't
Well,
want.
okay. So the question is about students are really worried about their careers, and they're very much thinking ahead and not focusing on studies either. So this has been something which I have been noticing very recently as well. Last 8 to 9 months, there's been a lot of discussion around it. So I one of the Twitter spaces also I attended, and I did happen to have a chat on this. So one of the things which I would really have to tell student is to enjoy the tech. Forget about the career, forget about rest of the things. You know, I've never bothered about the professional life, which is going to happen and what's going to happen if I don't do this or do that. Don't think about things which you can't control, right? These are things where you can't control anything, and things which you can control is skilling yourself, learning stuff, and in fact enjoying what you learn, right? So basically there is something new, amazing things every day released. uh, Going and playing around it and making sure that you know about it, and then going and talking about it in communities and writing a blog post, enjoying those kind of things around tech. uh, Eventually the career will happen. Don't worry about it. I've been here for 15 years, right? I can watch for that. Careers will happen. Don't worry about your careers. It's more about focus on learning stuff and enjoying that tech, right? It's quite amazing. Tech is amazing, so go and enjoy it, instead of worrying about getting into jobs and other things. Okay, so that's my take on that question. If Cherish and Namantika, if you have any thoughts on that, please go ahead and
Sure. I just want to quickly say that if anybody's worried about how communities can help your career, I am hiring. I am hiring for anybody who's a part of the communities and can code a little. Just reach me out on my Twitter, on LinkedIn, and I have roles for community management, developer experience, open source engineers, and also technical writers. So there you go, a testament of how communities help you find the right job. Over to you, Mantika.
I think that Vivek and Cherish, you have covered it pretty well, and I have nothing more to add. It's just that I would say that for students, it like since I have been there, it's a tricky task to focus on college and other things, and also learn, because most of the development stuffs that we learn is not there in the college curriculum that we are supposed to follow and get grades for. So yeah, like Vivek, you mentioned that it's more about learning and upskilling and enjoying the journey that way. So this is what it is all about. And like community is very similar to like how Cherish mentioned, that going back to our friends and explaining to them one day before our exam. So I really liked that example, because I think we all can relate to it. And that's the community spirit that I've been mentioning quite a few times. And yeah, it's all about learning and brainstorming, and it's a fun way that.
That's really great, and I really believe that actually answered that question, because and the biggest thing that we can have from this session is that Cherish is actually hiring right now. So anyone who will watch this, because I know that all the past sessions will has reached to some, I know, 200 plus views, and everyone actually sees them and asks doubts later on in the Discord and WhatsApp, and it's like, okay, so Cherish actually hiring on the same site. So I don't think Yash has any worries right now. If you, but yeah, that is actually great. You know how there is a worry, like we always worry about things. It's not just community, right? I believe that whether we are students, we worry about grades, like, and assignments, or maybe, like upcoming exams, semester exams. Then we worry about internship. Then we worry about our PPO or a full-time offer, so worries are always going to be there. So we have to actually live the life as it's going to come to us. And that's why I actually shared the thought in to the banner as well. I just remembered about the same thing while Vivek was speaking about it. It was from Invisible Man, the novel. So yeah, that moves to the next thing that I wanted to ask. Like, it was about, what do you think about the future of community and its impact over the professionals and student community over the coming years?
So how far into the future are we talking, Jatin? That's my.
Like, I can't think about a number, but all I can say is how you can see it, like, based on what the things are going on right now, how it has already impacted, and how it's going to impact, like, based on what your thoughts are.
Sure. So I spend a lot of time actually fantasizing about all of this. So I'll tell you as far as I can see, right? So with Web 3.0, and for anybody who's aware with what Web 3.0 is, and with how DAO system, decentralized autonomous organizations will work, the users of the product will also be the shareholder of the product, which means that they will have like an important part to play in how the product or the company performs, right? So you're no longer just the consumer of the product, but you're also like a part of the product in some sense. Now, how this will pan out is that there will be a person managing the users of the product as a community. So if you're let's say, hypothetical example, let's just consider this as a thought experiment. Let's say I launch a startup today, right? And everybody who uses my part of the product is probably built on blockchain, and everybody owns a part of the product in some sense. So having you as part of the ecosystem is just as important as having my main developers, right? And anybody who's and so there will be a community built around the product, right? So the way I see as part of the as part of the communities as a future, I think it's integral, and sooner or later, especially with tech, the adoption is going to be really high. And you can see this any time that the company or in a startup has actually, like, in fact, look at last year. After COVID, online communities got so much wider acceptance. People started joining so many Discord groups, and it is bound to happen. The acceptance for communities and tech ecosystem has grown so much. And if you should read state of developer relations as a report, and you will see there's a direct curve that goes up into how the communities are growing, how many were started in last 1 or 2 years. So communities are going to be great, and anybody who's a community manager, especially in tech, has is going to be a great asset for any team. That's what I would want to say.
Thank you so much, Cherish, and yeah, like Himantika, Vivek, any one of you.
I have a
Go ahead,
question.
Nitika.
Yeah. I have a question for Vivek and Cherish, both of you. That is, after the COVID pandemic struck us and we all went offline, online. So that is where the community engagement, it has, I think, it has increased in a very huge amount. And we see that apart from professionals, there is also a huge percentage of students coming in. But I would like to ask that what are your views on when things go hybrid, or let's say when students start going to the schools and colleges, and what do you think, that will the participation will be the same, or will it decrease, or do you think that only few people who are really passionate about community will be there, and others, maybe with the pressure of college and internships and other things, they'll just fall out of track? So this is is a question. I am sorry, Jatin, it might be a bit off topic, but it has been on my mind since a long time now, because I see that from probably from January 2022, things are supposed to open, and I just want to know what do you think about how student communities might be looking that way, because professional communities, I think that it has been there for some time, and people have found time, and they have been to a lot of meetups. But what do you think about these student communities that are running and going quite few? Do you think that it will be a sudden halt, or it will continue in scattered ways? What do you think about it?
So, from my perspective, people, I mean, the students who are coming into these communities are passionate about learning stuff. Either it is in person or hybrid, or however the future looks like. I would say it's going to be hybrid, more or like, and you know when you see from a different perspective, right? The people who are attending these sessions are passionate people who want to learn stuff. There are a set of people who have not really gone ahead and really joined any community or started learning through communities, but they are hearing about it, but they have not really been participating. But there are people who are very passionate and they attend my sessions, or they attend a lot of reactor sessions. They ask so many questions. They start from the beginning and they learn, they use Microsoft Learn for various things. So it's going to be continuing, and there is, I don't think so there will be a stop in the way we are learning things. Maybe their number of sessions they were attending, maybe it could reduce, if it is since if it is online and other things, because online we also have recordings, right? People go back and see these recordings as well. So if it is in-person event, I'm sure people who are passionate, they would come and attend these sessions. And in-person events are more engaging and more, you feel more connected, right? And you learn more stuff there, and you can ask questions even after the event is over, and you can have a chat with the speaker or with the audience who are asking so many questions as well. So it's kind of amazing when in person opens up. I'm just hoping in person will open up sooner or later. So I'm waiting for that. So go ahead, Cherish. You might also have something on that.
Sure. So, a fair question, Amadika. I think from a community's perspective, the engagement will go low, for sure, because the overall time spent in front of the computer will decrease. That, so goes on to say that people will stop probably looking for. So now the way people interact with communities, not just for work but also for networking, and also for just like general learning and interaction, right? But that can be substituted well enough and like more value, with more impact offline, like Vivek said. So I think once things open up, of course we'll move to a hybrid model, and the engagement for a particular server will definitely go low. But the only ones that will remain will be the ones who are really passionate and would really derive value from that community. So I think it'll be like a great filter in general, and anybody is on the other end of the side, they generally see impact and value in the community that you've built. And it's very important to make sure that you retain them, because they have, they're now just not just making out time for you sitting at home, they're also managing their general life and actually contributing to the community. That's what I think.
Thank you, Vivek and Cherish. I think those were some really great points that you have brought up, and definitely this wasn't something that I was thinking around. And thank you for clearing my doubts. Thanks.
It was indeed a really great question, and that was actually something we should all think about, how to make all these communities engaging. Because I agree that from both the sides of the coin. Because first one is that people are engaging really greatly with the things like reactors and all the even online events that are happening, and we have witnessed some two really amazing hackathons so far, like Hackon and Hack this fall, and now like we are planning for this initiative in upcoming months about Hack this league. So we really need to think about, not just as the leaders of some firm, but also as community leaders, as the student leaders, that how we can make our community initiatives more engaging for each and everyone. I think that's what impact means, right? like we have to think about some out of the box ways about how we can actually leverage the power of community in hybrid mode as well. So yeah, so yeah, that brings us like to more of like having your final thoughts on the discussion so far, because community is something I don't think we can ever be like full of. We can always talk on and on about the power of community and how much like impact it's going to hold in the future as well. So yeah, that brings us to like, what are your final thoughts over this thing?
Yeah, go ahead, Amantika. Go ahead.
I think that we have pretty much covered a lot of things that I had in my mind. So I would say that we have throughout the years we have seen a lot of types of learning, and community just adds to it. So I'll just say that the thought of community building and learning from here, and collaborating and networking with people, it will just get bigger with time. And I think getting involved with one, it's definitely a win-win for both of like for the students, or for the ones who are involved in the communities, and also for the companies that are building the communities. So I think that that's pretty much sums up what I have to add as my final thoughts.
Thank you so much, Mantika.
Go ahead, Cherish.
Thanks, Vivek. Final thoughts. Jonathan, I honestly feel the reason I moved into as community as a space, I think it gives me the space to be the human that I want to be, both personally and professionally. It tells me to be more altruistic, giving, kind, and nurturing, and that's why I thought your professional self should align with what your personal self is. Whether we like it or not, or whether we see it or not, or admit it or not, we are part of one community or the other. Communities are like a shared identity. If you really look deeper, you'd probably identify as North Indian, Brahmin, footballer, whatever. You're part of the community anyway. And you look towards that in the times of need. And that community also serves a purpose whenever you're in like a midlife or whatever kind of crisis, right? That what should I do? And I think if the more truly you associate with communities, the better you'll be able to derive value out of it. So if you're a developer, and if you think you found your kind of people, I would encourage you to hold on dear to it, because not only will it help you in learning, but also, like Himantika said, a lot of my friends are now spread across the country because I connected with them during my Google years, which are 8 9 years ago. And it still happens, right? So they'll give you with learning accommodation if there comes to it, and also a lot of networking opportunities, hiring opportunities, things like that. And it's just like is it's there's no question to be asked. You're part of the community whether you see it or not. Or you, Vivek?
So from my perspective, for the students, specifically, I want to repeat this: just enjoy tech. You know, don't worry about anything else. And when you are learning, you will teach, and in teaching, you will learn. This is I'm repeating it from Phil Collins, because this is a great takeaway, right? Because as long as you're learning something and you're teaching to someone, you're building expertise in that area. And also, obviously, you are growing the community out there because people are learning from you. That's one thing. And be part of the communities, either be a member of it or organizer of it, everything. If you are a member of it, you have a role to play, because you're building that community. And you're also being an active member. When I say active member, that means whenever there is a scheduled session is happening, you go and attend those sessions. And that's the way you're also growing that community. And it is not always becoming a organizer, or always, and that's how communities grow. So no, if you're attending those sessions as well, you're growing those communities and being part of that community, and you're learning from it, right? Each and every session you attend, you learn something new, and that's for sure. I can vouch for that. Even if I've been delivering a lot of workshops and other things on communities, I attend some of the community session and I learn something new about communities, right? There is always something new about it. So that's something, make sure that you do it. And these are top of the mind, like three final thoughts I have. All the best to all the students and from the professionals as well, right? Professionals need to come out and definitely need to attend a couple of sessions and also deliver sessions, because they have been doing a lot of things on tech. Off late, you can see so many things happening in tech, and I know there is blogs and other things they write, but it's also important for professionals to come out and speak about things they build, right? The things they use and other things, why did they use it and other things. Those are the use cases which can be really helpful for student, for professional community as well. So this is one, couple of things at top of my mind.
Thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, like all the thoughts and insights about the community. And yeah, it was a great, like all over a discussion to talk about not just your experiences into it. I know that like three of you have your own set of amazing experiences into the community, and there are folks who actually asked about the opportunities out of it. And I know like whoever will watch this thing in the future as a recording, it's always going to be there on the channel, so they'll know about how opportunities connect with the community concept, how evangelism like connect with it. And like we have discussed some really amazing things. That question about the hybrid work, because I know like all of us are included into the community ecosystem, whether we talk about now or tomorrow or maybe day after tomorrow, we're always going to be brainstorming about how we can engage the community, how we can engage more people. Discord is always out there. Like I really appreciate that Cherish actually mentioned the point that like in COVID especially, we have a like blast of Discord communities. Like people have their own personal communities on Discord, people have all the branded communities out there. All the people are having their own Discord groups. Our entire hackathon is on Discord, so like anyone who is not on it, please join it from on the website. But the kind of networking that we are witnessing right now, so all these things are actually leveraging the power of community and technical advocacy all together. People now can learn about tech. They don't need to wait and actually see that if that thing will become a part of their academics. Because when we talk about things like automation, so it was never a part of any academics in especially when we talk about India. And for past almost 2 years, the RPA, the robotic process automation, that thing has become a part of academics in many Indian universities. So I think that's why we want these communities, like telling all the normal norms of education, like universities and colleges and schools, that no, we need some more like innovation into the current norms of education as well. And all of your pointers were really really amazing. And yeah, so folks, that brings us to the end of the session. And that was really more like impactful discussion than I actually imagined. We had some really amazing pointers, and that was really great. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the live session. Thank you so much, folks, whoever joined us right now, for joining, and who will see this in the future. Make sure you go through the entire discussion so that you'll not miss out on anything. So we sure have another workshop coming up in the future about developing applications of Node.js, like a day after tomorrow, by Abir, one of the Postman student experts and a Microsoft Launch Student ambassador. So do tune in on that. And yeah, thank you so much, folks. Thank you so much, everyone.